Which fictional characters are idolized by people who missed the entire point of their story? Tom from 500 Days of Summer really liked the character and could associate myself with him in my younger self, but he's living in his fantasies more than understanding his reality. JD from Heathers. Tony Soprano. Not fictional characters, but Bonnie and Clyde. Cool if you wanna have an adventure with your ride or die. Just don't kill 13 people while doing it. Holden Caulfield. The Catcher in the Rye. He wasn't being refreshingly rebellious. He was crying out for help. He was probably mentally ill. And definitely emotionally scarred by his brother's death and the unhealthy way his parents handled that tragedy. Not actually fictional, but The Wolf of Wall Street. Jay Gatsby. Basil Fawlty. Hear me out. He is funny, obviously, but we're not supposed to feel sorry for him in any way. John Cleese often explained that Basil is supposed to be despicable. He is a snobbish, xenophobic narc who blames all his faults on others and never ever learns. He is rude. He is violent. He exploits his staff. When you've worked in hospitality, you recognize his feelings towards guests from hell and you wish you dared to be as rude to them as he. But most people Basil is rude to don't have it coming at all. If you ever had a boss from hell, you can easily tell how similar they are to Basil Fawlty. Walter White. You're not supposed to root for the murderous, ruthless, self-centered, egomaniac drug lord by the end of the series. People do. Greatest Showman. Part Barnum was a super effed up dude. Vito Corleone. And by extension, Michael. Vito had to flee his home as a little boy to escape a mafia boss who wanted him dead. He gets to the US. But because of discrimination against Italians and another mafia boss stealing his job for his nephew, he's forced into crime so he can take care of his family. He joins the life. And he's good at it, but because of that life, Sonny is murdered. Michael goes into exile. Michael's first wife is murdered. Fredo has a breakdown. Connie goes off the rails after her abusive husband is killed. Michael's second wife leaves him. Fredo betrays Michael. Michael has him killed. Michael's daughter is killed. Michael's son hates him. Even more tragic, Michael almost escaped that life. Edit. 90% of y'all are agreeing with me and the other 10% are proving my point. Romeo and Juliet. Joker and Harley are still idolized as an example of crazy passionate love despite it being clearly established as an abusive relationship. It's a shame the movies had to cut out most of the really bad Joker abuse, because then maybe the point will be driven home. Mickey and Mallory from Natural Born Killers. Joker. And all those cringe posts on Facebook, that's just pictures of him saying shit like, "I got your back in the darkest times." My dude, he doesn't have anyone's back. That's the fucking Joker. Johan from Monster and Griffith from Berserk. Both well-written antagonists, but people tend to idolize them a lot. Vito Corleone. Everybody knows Michael is a monster, but he's only his father without the family man charm. Both of them are ruthless murderers. Scarface. So many wannabe gangsters and rappers with Scarface shirts and posters. For a while back in 2016, the romance between Harley Quinn and Joker was idolized by so many young couples in my city. Walter White. Rick from Rick and Morty. Not a character, but as a South American, it is disgusting how drug lords are being venerated due to some media about them that have come out in recent times. Especially the series Narcos. There are people tattooing the image of Pablo Escobar, a Genesina son of a bitch who is responsible for the murder of thousands of people. created a civil war for pure economic interest, and only now is Columbia resurrecting the shit that this man did. It's like getting a tattoo of Hitler. The cast of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Very very funny show, but none of them I would want in my life at all. Lol. Edit. While it may be completely obvious these characters are not good people, you would be surprised how many folks mistake their negative traits with just quirks or goofiness. Like Charlie's unhinged, borderline psychotic way of living, confused for funny and carefree. Quote. Joker, particularly the iteration from The Dark Knight. Thomas Shelby, Peaky Blinders. Alex from A Clockwork Orange. The point of the book, to my reading, was that you can't force nature's hand. All the rehabilitation in the world couldn't make Alex grow up. Only Alex could. And he did. In the end. It was not a glorification of violence. From Wikipedia. In the final chapter, Alex, now 18 years old and working for the nation's musical recording archives, finds himself half-heartedly preparing for yet another night of crime with a new gang. Len, Rick and Bully. After a chance encounter with Pete, who has reformed and married, Alex finds himself taking less and less pleasure in acts of senseless violence. He begins contemplating giving up crime himself to become a productive member of society and start a family of his own, while reflecting on the notion that his own children could possibly end up being just as destructive as he has been, if not more so. A big part of this misconception, in my mind, comes from the omission of the last chapter from the American version of the book and the film adaptation. Your Man Gray from the 50 Shades books. Disclaimer: my flatmate had all 3 books and I read them as a method of procrastination from uni work. I also cleaned out all the kitchen cupboards. So that shows the frame of mind I was in. Why is he seen as a wonderful, sexy man of your dreams? He's a narcissistic, misogynistic dickhead. He targeted a young naive girl and groomed her for his own enjoyment. Tyler Durden, hands down. Love Quinn from You. I can't believe how many people worship her character. I have to tell myself that the people praising her actually know she's an insane, psychopathic, manipulative murderer, and their admiration of her is actually rooted in how well developed her character is and how refreshing it is to see a female villain instead of just another innocent victim. I have to tell myself that to sleep at night. Because there's no way people actually admire her, as in who her character was. There's no way they can justify her actions or want to be anything like her. Right. Lol. The Punisher. Peter Pan. He flies into kids' windows and kidnaps them. Dr. Gregory House. Light Yagami. So many people forget that Death Note basically shredded whatever redeeming qualities he had for the sole purpose of spreading the message that power corrupts, absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. The only thing that anyone really seems to talk about regarding his character is that he's awesome, handsome, and polite. And even the former was a facade. Jerry from Tom and Jerry. He's a fucker. Tom is just defending his house. Lolita. I hate that the name has Heckham synonymous with young, seductive, coquette types. The story is written from the perspective of a diddler, including his cognitive distortions. The entire book includes accounts that she was an unwilling participant and trapped. Ted Bundy. Not a fictional character, but I've actually seen people romanticize him on TikTok. It's disgusting. Ragnar Lothbrok. From the Vikings show. His story is a tragedy. In trying to do better for his family he hurts, or loses, most of them. Also, what idiot cheats on Lagertha? Dumb dumb dumb. Rory Gilmore, I'm such a Rory. Really? A doe-eyed narcissist. Okay. Don Draper. Hannibal Lecter. Not everyone will admit it. But they cheered when Lecter escaped from the cops in Silence of the Lambs by wearing the one cop's face, because Jonathan Demme painted Lecter almost as the protagonist opposite of Buffalo Bill's antagonist. So, we put aside the fact the man was a cannibal who had murdered multiple people and eaten them, we rooted for Lecter. Because we liked him better. Phantom of the Opera. Rejection does not give a person a free pass to manipulate someone into loving him or her. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate him. In fact, I sympathize with him because no one likes rejection and abuse. Of course. Boy, is the musical character a hero compared to his portrayal in the book, though. And the character is actually far darker than any adaptation may be able to portray accurately. Not to knock on Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber. Of course. I'm just stating that the Phantom is far darker than I think anyone would be able to capture completely. ETA. 1.5k Karma. Oh. Boy. I had no idea Lord Webber's work was that controversial as compared to the book. But I did know the real Phantom was a lot darker. Any of the Sons of Anarchy characters. It's my favorite show. I love it, but let's be real. These guys are organized criminals and pretty bad guys. I do love it when a show can get you to root for characters who you shouldn't really root for. Tony Soprano. BoJack Horseman from BoJack Horseman. Scott Pilgrim, hands down. Gonna go with Michael Corleone. The Godfather was not a story of his triumph and strength. Eren Yeager. I don't think fans were ready to discuss genocide. A couple series delve into the topic a little bit, but AOT dives straight into it. Tommy Shelby from Peaky Blinders. He's held up by cringy incels on Instagram and Facebook as a super cool paragon of honor and masculinity. First off, none of those stupid quotes actually apply to him. Shit like, if you are going to stab me, at least stab me in the front so I can look in your eyes, or whatever. That has nothing to do with him slowly smoking a cigarette and looking handsome yet dead inside, which brings me to point number 2. He isn't cool. Yeah, he dresses well and he has some honor among thieves moments. But you don't want to be Tommy Shelby. His life sucks. He has PTSD from the war, which led to a severe substance abuse problem. He's suicidal, manic, and paranoid. He's emotionally crippled, incapable of meaningful friendships, and the few people he seems to love suffer and occasionally die as a direct result of his actions and lifestyle. Tommy Shelby is a tragic character. He's a cautionary tale against the kind of hyper-hustling, extra-toxic masculinity that drives his actions. But the edgelords on Instagram who make memes about loyalty and shit are too stupid to realize that. Regina George. Heathcliff in Wuthering Heights. Easy. The Punisher. Cops idolize a man whose vendetta is caused by the failure of law enforcement. Not only that, but Frank Castle would have zero issue with killing a police officer if he found out they were corrupted or were even complicit. Whenever I see a skull with the blue line in it, I automatically assume that person isn't that smart. Which also lets me know that person will also lash out when you make them look stupid. Peter Pan is a fucking lunatic. Romeo and Juliet. Two brash and impulsive kids get half a dozen people killed. But no, everyone thinks it's all romance and sweetness. BTCH, it ends with double suicide and a body count. Barney from HIMYM. Fuck that guy and the tools who tried to copy him. The character Nit NPH.